Retirement. It's one of those milestones that we may or may not have thought about. And if you have thought about it, has it filled you with excitement or dread, or maybe something in between? And if you haven't thought about it, well, here's your chance. So instead of reinventing the wheel, I think it would be wise for us to learn from the mistakes of older people who have looked back over their lives. Apparently, the top 5 regrets of people who have retired are firstly, wishing they had prioritised their health. Secondly, regretting that they haven't nurtured deep relationships outside of work. 3, realising they had never made time for self-discovery. Fourthly, wishing they'd planned more thoroughly, especially financially. And 5, regretting they hadn't taken more risks. These aren't just statistics. They are real life stories and lessons from those who've been there. But the good news is, these regrets are avoidable. I'm Jeanette McKnight, founder of Marble's Creative Life Coaching. And as someone who has found themselves on the other side of retirement and helped others on their journeys, I have learned that while financial planning is crucial, it's just one piece of the puzzle. So today we're going to explore how to plan for retirement that isn't just financially secure, but also deeply fulfilling and full of purpose. You want to plan a life where you can genuinely say, I have no regrets. So to illustrate this, let's break it down into 3 key areas of focus. First, financial security. Yeah, money matters, but it's just the foundation. It's what you build on top of that creates a life of purpose and joy. Second, health and well-being. Without physical and mental wellness, it's hard to enjoy even the best laid plans. Finally, life purpose. This is the why behind your retirement, a vision for how you'll spend your time and find meaning. So as we move forward, why not take time to think about which of these pillars you have already started building and which ones need more attention? Let me tell you a little about why I am so passionate about this topic. This is a personal story that really shaped my perspective on retirement. I was one of those women who got the shock of their lives a few years back when we found out that our state pension age had shifted. Instead of a retirement age of 60, I will be 66 years and 3 months before I will receive the state pension. And for most of you, it will be even higher. I started planning about 5 years before finally stepping away from employment. But the reason wasn't because I was big into planning, no. It was because I had absolutely no idea what I would actually do with my life. I had been a charity CEO for a very long time, and I was struggling to think how I could use those skills when I stepped out of work. The market was already flooded with retired CEOs who were giving their services as management consultants, and to be honest, that would not float my boat. Without realising it, my first step was one I now highly recommend to everyone, and that was to find a coach or a mentor. I found an absolutely brilliant mentor in a woman called Maria Garvey, and through her unwavering support, I realised that I wanted to do something completely different from how I had spent my career, even though I loved my previous 40 years in the workplace. I had always been passionate about encouraging people, regardless of their circumstances, helping them recognise their incredible potential, and supporting them to make their dreams become reality. And so with Maria's encouragement, I grasped this opportunity to envision a new future for myself. The next thing I did was start to work out if I could afford to retire, so I engaged a financial advisor. Now this is a hugely important step for anyone considering retirement. He helped me to realise that whilst I had saved throughout my working life, my workplace pensions were not enough to live comfortably and to continue to enjoy some little luxuries. I also realised I would need to tackle my debts head on and find some way of making additional income, at least until my state pension started hitting my bank account. I also realised that I would need space to plan for the future and adjust to a new rhythm of life. So my third step was to reduce my work hours, which helped me to start to manage on less income. I had finally found that the type of job that would be a great way of fulfilling my vision was coaching and mentoring, but I needed to get qualified. So I started studying and equipping myself with the knowledge I needed for my new life. And by June 2020, I took the leap and stepped down from my job as CEO of a well-established charity to take on a new role in our local community. And that was leading wellbeing workshops and coaching. And it gave me invaluable experience to add to the qualification. But my ultimate dream was to own my own company. So step 7 was about learning all I could about the business world by getting a business coach and attending as many business setup workshops as possible. And with my newfound knowledge and passion, in October 2023, I proudly launched Marvel's Creative Coaching. And I realised then that planning for retirement isn't just practical, it's deeply personal. It's about creating a future that you are excited to wake up to every morning. So my journey has not only transformed my life, but more importantly, it has ignited a passion and a dedication within me to empower others like you to craft your own path to a future filled with purpose and fulfillment. I would now like to ask you 3 questions, one at a time, and I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about your answer. And then I'm going to give you some facts and figures which might help. So question 1. How long have you spent thinking about retirement? According to a study by Phoenix Life about retirement finance planning, almost 4 out of 10 people who are over 50 leave retirement finance planning too late, or they don't plan at all. And Canada Life had recently completed a piece of research and found that the biggest regrets were around money, wishing that they had saved more and that they had started saving earlier. 8% of people said that they wouldn't have left work when they did, and they would have chosen a later retirement date. The research highlighted the need to have a plan and seek advice at the earliest opportunity. Question 2. What age do you want to retire? I found it interesting to have a look at some examples of average retirement ages from across the world as recorded by the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD. In the UK, it is just over 64.5 years, with women typically retiring at 64, which is about 13 months earlier than men, whose average age is just over 65. You will see from the selection on the slide that ages tend to range from 60 to 65, but there are some countries where people remain in the workplace longer. In Greece, it averages 67. In Mexico, workers expect to give up work at almost 70. And in South Korea, it's as high as 72.3 years. I wonder if the age you want to retire and the age you will be financially able to retire will be one and the same. With early planning and preparation, this doesn't have to be a pipe dream. Question 3. Do you think the younger generation will face more financial challenges in retirement? Absolutely, yes. Young people will most likely face more financial challenges in retirement than people of my generation. And yet research shows an alarming number of young people aren't saving enough or anything for retirement. Rising costs and an uncertain economy are making it particularly difficult, impacting not only how people are living now, but how they might be able to live in the future. Housing, education, and healthcare costs have increased substantially, making it harder for younger people to save for retirement. According to Deloitte's 2024 Gen Z Millennium Study, 3 in 10 say that they don't feel financially secure, and roughly 6 in 10 live paycheck to paycheck. Something that most people of my age mostly don't have to face is the burden of student debt. And when I was much younger, jobs tended to be more permanent, whereas there seems to be less job stability today with a wider range of types and patterns of employment. The rise of what's known as the gig economy and freelancing means fewer young people have access to employer-sponsored retirement plans and consistent income. The ageing population will also impact future pensions, with people living longer and money only goes so far. Pension schemes have changed where guaranteed payouts are now rare, and pension pots nowadays are more subject to market risk. So my advice to younger people is, start finding out now how you can plan to have an enriching retirement where you will have enough money to live a life where you are not just scraping by, but one you will look forward to.